Want to see my little demonstration again? I did this myself. I'm very proud. Ha! You'll have to forgive me, but PowerPoints are not usually my thing. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like when we're all done. This is the table we're going to learn to use. And let me show you. If, for example, if I am teaching kids multiplication tables, I am having them remember factual knowledge, so that would be an A1. If I am having kids summarize a paragraph that they have read, I'm doing B2. Because most reading things are conceptual. They're not factual. They can be factual. But if I'm having them summarize it, I'm having them, that's a B2. If I'm having them show me the steps for scientific inquiry and give them to me, that's a C3. Make sense to you? How this table works. Across the top are the cognitive dimensions. Vertically are the knowledge dimensions. Okay? That's what the table is. We're going to start with the yellow one, which is the factual one, or the knowledge dimensions. Okay? Like we said, there are 4. Factual, conceptual, procedural, metacognitive. Write out your tables. Talk out. What do you teach the most? What do you think you teach the most? It might be depend on your content. Yep. Okay, here's a question for you. I'm teaching first grade physical education. I've got all my kids in there. I got them lined up, and I'm teaching them how to skip. What kind of knowledge is that? I'm teaching the first graders how to skip. Or maybe kindergarten. I have to tell you honestly, I don't think I could do it, but I remember doing it. What would you call that kind of knowledge? She says factual to conceptual. Procedural. Because when you teach it, do you not tell the kid how to put their foot forward and then jump and then put the other one down? It's actually a procedure. Okay, makes sense to you? Eventually, right. Now, if you're to ask the child then, okay, so what do you think went wrong with your skipping? Where's it breaking down for you? You're asking them to think about what's going on with their feet and their legs. You're asking them to think about what they're doing. That's more metacognitive. They won't know. I can guarantee you they probably won't know, but you can ask them. Okay, so now, let's talk about factual knowledge. Factual knowledge are those basic things. It's the, okay, what are the dates of the Civil War? And who are the presidents of the United States? And what are the letters of the alphabet? And what are the multiplication facts? Those are facts. You got that? Fact is a fact is a fact. You can't change it. Be careful, though. Doing things with facts can be conceptual knowledge. And I always warn people about math. Math is not all factual knowledge. Because remember, a number is a concept. It's not a finite thing. It is a concept. Those of you who teach algebra understand that probably better than any of us. So be careful when you get to math. Not all things are factual there. Conceptual knowledge can be the things the way they're interrelated. And I've kind of made a list of them so I can remember the different ones that we do for conceptual knowledge. It has types of literature, parts of a sentence, periods of geological time, fundamental laws of physics, generalizations about cultures, principles of math operations, theories, models, structures. And you can teach them by example and non-example as well when you teach concepts. The one I like to use is the concept of justice. Is justice being fair, or is justice treating all equals equally? Or is justice treating equals unequally? What is justice? And you can have really good discussions with kids in the 8th grade about what justice is. Of course, you can do it in first grade, too. But the other one I always like to use the concept of love. I love my dog. I love my husband. My dog wins. You know, it's that kind of concept of, you know, what are we talking about here? You know? Another one is that you can take something as simple as a table. A table, yeah, okay, a concept of a table. Well, a table can have 4 legs, a table can have 3 legs, a table could actually have only 2 legs. I mean, it's a concept rather than a fact. I know. Is your brain starting to hurt yet? You're going to love this. Your brain's going to be hurting by noon, I guarantee you. Okay, procedural. This one's a little bit easier. Whenever you're asking kids to follow steps to do something, you're probably teaching them a procedure. And it can be a procedure like scientific inquiry is a well-acknowledged thing, or it can be one that you teach kids to do. Maybe you've taught kids a certain set of things for, like, if you're teaching music, about how you would name the notes on the steps and the spaces. You make that up yourself, or you do that, every good boy does fine, or FACE. They're procedurals for how to do that. How do you teach them fingering on the clarinet? Those are all different types of things that can be procedures. They can be things that are already defined or that you come up with. There's a certain procedure for teaching double-digit subtraction and multiplication. There's a procedure for that. Now, not everybody teaches it the exact same way, but there is a procedure for it. Okay, and metacognitive, which is the hardest, because, and this is the one we spend the least time doing, is asking kids to think about their own thinking. And you know why we don't do it? Because number one, we can't assess it. And number two, they don't really want to do it. And how do you get there? You have to model it. I'll tell you, some of the best metacognitive thinking I've ever seen is when I've seen teachers of reading go in and talk about when they're reading a book, they stop and think, okay, this is what I'm thinking about this book. And then they talk out loud about how they're making connections and how they, because that's how you teach kids how to do that. To make those inferences and do all of those things. Thinking about their own thinking. And how do you know you're dealing with metacognitive knowledge? How do you know you're dealing with that? Yeah, when they all go like this. Probably when you don't talk so much is one thing too. And the kids do the talking. Then you're finding out what they're thinking. And I tell you, as a teacher, that was one of the hardest things for me to do, was shut up. Because I had a lot to say, you know. And I learned over the years. I mean, I started out like you did, teaching like activities. Okay, these are the activities for today, and they're going to be great. I have no idea what they have to do with anything, but they're going to be great. And I had classrooms that were engaged, and the kids loved me, and yes, but did they learn anything? I don't know. Not those first couple of years. Until I figured out you had to kind of have a plan. I know where you were going and where you wanted to be. But like I told somebody before, because my first couple of years I was a music teacher, the assessment was always right there in front of everybody. They could either sing the songs and perform the rhythms or they couldn't. My assessments were very visible. My successes and my failures were right there. And so that assessment was always in front of me. There was never any doubt about how I was going to assess all that stuff. And that's kind of the one thing about the arts. It's a very visual kind of assessment. Okay, so now let's try 4 examples. I'm giving you 3. 1492, Columbus crossed the ocean. That is what kind of knowledge? Factual. What steps are used in scientific inquiry? Procedural. Describe your thinking at how you arrived at your answer. Compare analysis with evaluation. That's conceptual. Okay, good. You're getting the idea. All right, so now what we're going to do is, Judy, if you would help me, we're going to give each table a piece of paper. And what I want you to do is this. At your groups, I want you to pick a hobby. A hobby? A hobby that you have? Here's a little clue for you. Don't pick a hobby you don't know anything about. Don't pick race car driving if nobody knows it. I have to tell you, my best one, though, is the group picked tailgating. That was interesting. I want you to pick a hobby first, okay? One that you know something about.